Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to be going through some new polling data from the past 2 days and just look at what it means for the 2018 midterm election. So I know I've been doing polling a lot, and mainly because a number of these polls are showing pretty surprising results. As you see on your screen right now, we have new polls out of Tennessee, which hasn't been covered as much as states like Florida or possibly even Missouri or Arizona. Then we do have a poll from Utah, Indiana, and Florida. Florida, probably the most watched out of the rest of the races. Utah, not so much. Indiana and Tennessee are probably equally as watched, whereas Florida is going to be that shining star for whichever political party does win it. So pretty much a recap. Phil Bredesen leads by 2% statewide in Tennessee. But in that same poll taken, the Democrat loses against a Republican in the governor election against Lee and Dean. Pretty much if we look at the numbers here, not many polls were taken. 2 to be exact. Bill Lee leads now recently by 13% over Carl Dean. I believe Carl Dean is a mayor somewhere in Tennessee. But overall, right now we look at these numbers, Republican state on the governor level. Democratic state in the Senate level. So it's very interesting seeing the same polling group vote for a Democrat by 2% and then a Republican by 13%. And those are the numbers we should be expecting. Phil Bredesen is not going to win in a blowout, and neither is Marsha Blackburn. That's a harsh reality for both political parties. Regardless of the popularity of Phil Bredesen and regardless of how Republican this state is, sure, maybe they'll show out like that in the governor election. Even though right now Bill Lee leads by only 13%. And yes, that is a double-digit lead, but keep in mind Donald Trump won this state by over 13%, a very considerable amount. Tennessee was a Clinton state in 92, in 96, was very close in the year 2000, then increasingly got more Republican until 2016, which had one of its most Republican showings in United States history from the state of Tennessee. We go into 2018. The president's approval rating isn't doing too good in Tennessee, but that doesn't bring down Republicans because it is a Republican state. Marsha Blackburn is severely underperforming other Republicans in this state. On the same ballot, she loses 2% on the same one that the Republican leads by 13%. Just a little something to note. As for the Democrats, their lead has gone down. That has gone down at one point in time, and the last time I made a video covering it, they were at a 10.8% lead. Now, according to 538, they're at an 8.4% lead nationwide, which isn't the worst thing, but it's gone down more than 2%. So something definitely did happen. Right here was around that 10% area, a 10.8% area where they were actually leading by a considerable amount, and then just dropped. So I don't know if it shows the 10.8%. Maybe the polling got updated that same day, so it's not updated for the same day, but at the time of the recording of the video, if you watch the video, it shows a 10.8% lead nationwide, and a couple of these adjusted leaders are actually pushing up the numbers a little bit more. Democrat plus 5 in the original poll. True numbers are Democrat plus 7. The one we see today, Democrat plus 2, which actually has an A+ rating, but is adjusted to Democrat plus 4. Still, some interesting results right here, but the Democrats have gone down to a 2% lead according to this poll, which has been rated A+, so that is a very good sign for the GOP, but not the best thing. As for a couple more recent generic ballot polls, again, Democrats plus 4, plus 9, plus 5. The most recent polls before then were plus 14, plus 11, plus 13, plus 11. Okay, we look at a number of these polls, Democrats leading by double digits, and in traditionally Republican states. So again, those results were not the best for the GOP, but something must have happened here right after Labor Day. I guess primaries happened, and then, only Massachusetts, but I guess something happened where the Democrats did go down nationwide. So we pretty much covered the Tennessee polls, which also, if we fill in our Senate map based off those polls, Phil Bredesen would narrowly win that race there, and that would put the Democrats at 48. So on your screen right now is my current prediction with all 4 of the states that currently have polling numbers that I'm about to cover. And Tennessee was just filled in for the favor of the Democrats just based off the polling numbers there. And now we have 3 states covered. These are the final 3 states we will be covering in this video, only because I have covered the rest of the polls taken down here. So the first one, shouts out at you. We see a double-digit lead for a Republican, and it's not from Tennessee. It's from Utah, a Senate race here. Mitt Romney leading by 26%, and that may seem like a very good number, and it is. But compared to all the recent polls taken before then, his lead has dropped, but not enough to say that Jenny Wilson would even have a shot at winning. One point in time, Romney plus 38, Romney plus 46, 45, 38. Now it's down to 26, but that isn't the worst thing. It likely could be just GOP opposition, and then leading into the general election, they will come back to him just like they at one point in time had the independent leading in the statewide polls in the state of Utah. So that point in time, Trump wasn't too popular, but then once you reach the election, Republicans typically corral against a certain Democrat and corral with a certain Republican. In that case, it was Donald Trump in 2016, and now it will be Mitt Romney in 2018. So based off that poll, Utah should be a safe Republican state, officially putting the Republicans in the majority. Now we have a tie out of the state of Florida. Okay, the state of Florida I previously characterized as a blue state, and then I believe it was actually a blue state. But now I'm going to characterize it as a toss-up state. I mean, I personally just blanked for a second, so I didn't really know my map at that point in time. But still, Florida right now tying, and pretty much all the rest of the polls show a tie in Florida. I believe there's some other polls. Actually, if we just look at the numbers here, a tie and a tie in the most recent 2 polls. Those numbers aren't too good for Bill Nelson. They favor Rick Scott, and here's why. He is the Democratic incumbent in the United States Senate, which means that he should have the advantage in both polling and the general election. If he is tying against a governor who's much more popular than he is, not much more, but 10% more popular than the Democrat is, that's a warning sign, showing a tied race with a Democratic incumbent who is pretty popular. I mean, he is more popular than the president. Both of them are. With a 49-49 number, it's not good for the incumbent because, again, only 2% now fluctuates between the two. Let's say Scott gets 1.1%. It's over for Bill Nelson. Bill Nelson gets 1.1%. It's over for Rick Scott. But regardless of how this goes, it's not going to be a blowout like it was in 2012. So for right now, Florida stays in the toss-up column. But a new poll out of the state of Indiana. So there hasn't been many polls, surprisingly, out of Indiana. I mean, if we look at all of them, there's been a total of 3. The average right now, Donnelly plus 5.7, but I wouldn't trust those numbers too much. Donnelly led by 12% in this poll. I would call it a BS poll. Pretty much if you look at the results here, none of it correlates with the demographics of Indiana, the voting record of Indiana, and showing Donnelly leading by 12%, even if it is from a Republican source, does not match up with what we should be seeing from the state. This is not going to be a double-digit lead or win for either of the candidates, considering both of them don't really have that many scandals, and both of them are pretty well known across the state, and it's going to be a very contested race. The most recent poll by NBC News shows Donnelly leading by 6%. I do trust that poll. So for right now, I'm actually going to put Indiana in the leaning Democratic column, only because I'm not going to factor in Donnelly plus 12 when I use the average. So right now, Joe Donnelly leads by 6% in the most recent poll, which could be pretty accurate because the poll taken that showed Braun leading by 1% was taken back in Maine. So those new numbers are definitely beneficial for the Democratic candidate Joe Donnelly, who is the incumbent, as you can see right here on the current composition. But still, Indiana is a race to watch, and I think that poll could be a minor indicator of a help for the Democrats, but nothing is set in stone yet. So here's the generic ballot poll where the Democrats lead by 8.4%. Here's the popularity approval rating, I guess, of Donald Trump, where he currently is disapproved nationwide by 13.7%, and the 2018 House forecast, which has gone down from an 80% chance for Democrats down to 77%. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.